guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Chelsea and I do a lot of vlogging and that sort of videos, and I also do lots of DisneyLand Paris and Disney videos. So if you like that sort of thing, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for this video. I mean, you're going to know what it is from the title, but this is going to be about my best tips for Disneyland Paris. Now, I could go on and on and on for hours about tips for Disneyland Paris. I don't know what it is about that park, but that is like my home, and it is like my second home. Like, I just love it there, and I think it's such an underrated park because everyone's like, oh, you should just go to America, like, and I get that, and I've never been to America and I know I would love it, but to be honest, like, if you are on more of a budget and you live in the UK, like, going to Disneyland Paris is so much more affordable for families and everything like that. So, and it's still such an amazing park, and it has so many rides that like the other parks don't have and things too. So we're going to get started. I've divided this into subcategories and I'll pop them in the thing. So if you're only looking for learning about characters and things like that, you can skip to those parts because I am aware this video might be a little bit long, and hopefully this will be really helpful and informative for you of your upcoming trips. And yeah, if you have any other questions, make sure to pop them in the comments below. But yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to start with is apps and good people to follow whilst you're in Disneyland Paris. So the first thing I would say is make sure you get the Disneyland Paris app. This is super helpful for seeing times that things are open, times of shows. I wouldn't really use it for wait times, but it shows you like where the toilets are, where the water fountains are, all those little things. You can select it like by those things. I'll pop a little screen recording of what it looks like here. And also it gives, if you've never been to Disneyland Paris, it gives you an idea of the location of things and where the different lands are and where this hub is and how you get from park to park and everything like that, and like where the hotels are. It just gives you that sort of like indication of where you are, which I think is super helpful. And then the second app I'd recommend getting is MagiPark. Now this I'd use for wait times. You can filter it by favourites, you can filter it by Studios Park, you can filter it by Disneyland Park, and you can even set reminders for when things are at a low wait time. And it's just a really good way to see the wait times without going to the rides, because they do have like screens around the park, but they're not that easy to find and they're not always that accurate. So I definitely think these two apps are a must. And then if you want to go that step further on your Disneyland holiday, you can follow, there's two people on Twitter that I'd recommend following. One is DLP Report and one is ED92. They give updates on the park every single day. I don't know how the hell they do it. If there's a new character out, they'll post about it. If there's a rare character, they'll post about it. If there's a show that's on that's not normally on, if there's a new food item, anything, they update you on all new and current news of Disneyland Paris. It's amazing. If you're in the park, if you're in a character line, just refresh it and you could see like Minnie's in Frontierland in her like cowboy cookout outfit, or you could see that like at 12 o'clock this person's going to be out. Oh, there's this new food that you might want to try. Things like that. And I think that's how you, and sometimes those special characters as well are only out for a couple of hours in the day. So if you don't know about it, you can't do it, and they're not always on the Disneyland app. So that's a really good way to stay up to date. Also, if they are updating you in the week before you're going about certain characters being out, they might be out when you're there, and then you know where they'll be and roughly the times they'll be there. They're also really good at replying, so you can always comment on their things, going like, oh, I'm not sure about this and things. So yeah, that's really good, and that's one of my top tips. Then when you arrive on your days and like opening and magic hours, that's what we're going to cover next. So if you're in the centre of Paris, you're likely going to be getting the RER-A to Disneyland Paris and coming out the train station. That train station security can sometimes be quite busy, so maybe use the Disney Village security if you can. And also I'd recommend, even if you obviously aren't staying in a Disneyland hotel and you don't have magic hours, get there like half hour before the park opens, because those queues can get really long, and if they're really long they sometimes let you in early. And also you can get pictures with the beautiful opening of the park and all that. You can go to Disney Village, get a coffee, like things like that. Do those things before the park opens, because you want to maximize your time in the park, and also you want to maximize the quiet period, because by the time it gets to like midday, it's so busy on all the rides. Even in winter it gets busier at that sort of time. If you are staying in a Disneyland hotel, I know it's tiring, I know the park opens at 8:30 in the morning, but if you can, make the most of magic hours. They are like the one time there's like no queues in the park, and it's so good for a few things. So I would use it for meeting characters or doing your favourite rides that are everyone's favourite rides. So if you're in the Disneyland park, do meet Stitch or Winnie, because like go to them straight away because they get so busy. Or go on Hyperspace or Peter Pan's Flight or Buzz Lightyear. To be honest, the main areas that are open are Discoveryland, which is where Hyperspace Mountain is, Buzz Lightyear, Autopia, Orbitron and Star Tours are. Star Tours is usually quite quiet. I wouldn't really do that one in magic hours. And Hyperspace you can get at quieter times, but the rest of them get so busy and definitely do them. And then in Fantasyland, the ones that are open are usually Peter Pan's Flight, definitely do that in magic hours. It gets so long throughout the day. Dumbo and Snow White, Seven Dwarfs, all that sort of thing. The carousel and the teacups. Those sort of things, and Dumbo. Those sort of things I wouldn't really say apart from Dumbo doing magic hours. Mainly I would say use the time for Peter Pan's Flight, Dumbo or the stuff in Discoveryland, because they just get really busy. I'm pretty sure it's Discoveryland. I'm now second guessing myself. But the stuff with all the Star Wars stuff in it. Yeah, because it's Discoveryland, Adventureland. Yeah, I'm right. Then if you're doing the Studios park, just be warned, because of the Marvel stuff, that park gets really busy. Like we would get there like 10 minutes before magic hours, like 8:20, and there'd be quite a long queue to get into the park already. And it moves fast, but like obviously everyone's on a mission to get to the same rides. So if you can get there at like 8:15 probably. I'm never up early enough for that. I'm not a morning person, but I still make it to magic hours. I'm just not the first in that park. Everyone in Studios Park will likely go to Crush's Coaster. I honestly wouldn't recommend going to Crush's Coaster in the morning. I would say do that in the evening. Just because like just when before Studios is shutting, get on it like half hour before it shuts and it will be fine. Also, Louis doesn't like that ride, so I don't want to waste his magic hours on that ride, and I'll just do single rider later in the day in that evening period when it's like a 20-minute single rider wait, and he'll go off and do another ride. But I would personally go to Adventures Campus, ride Web Slingers, get on Flight Force, get on Tower of Terror. To be honest, it's a kind of an odd order, but what I found actually Bella doing was doing Web Slingers, Tower of Terror and then Flight Force, because Flight Force is probably the quieter one out of them three, so you get the quieter wait times. And then also Parachute Drop. Parachute Drop gets really long throughout the day, so get on that, or RC Racer as well. RC Racer takes a long time to load on and off, so that can also be a long wait, so definitely get on that as well in magic hours. Ratatouille, if you want to ride with your family, is another good one to do in magic hours, but me and whoever I've ever gone with always have done single rider just because it's so fast and we don't have young children to have to go on the same ride with. So whatever works for you, but Studios is definitely a great one for magic hours and a great one to get those big rides that everyone wants to do done. So just don't miss out on magic hours. I prefer magic hours in, I don't know, it's really hard. Ride wise, I prefer magic hours in Studios, I think, but I love magic hours in Disneyland Park because it's so quiet and you can get like loads of nice pictures as well and everything. That's the thing, like you can do one day you could do magic hours that's like bam 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 bam, ride. But then another day you could do magic hours and you could just like have a nice peaceful look around, get some photos of no one in the background, like things like that. Like definitely do a mix of both. But I probably do like 2 in Studios, 2 in Disneyland Park. But if I could get 3 in Studios and 2 in, I would do it that way. So it depends what you want out of your holiday. But yeah, that's what I'd recommend for magic hours. I'm moving on to all the shows. There's so many good shows in Disneyland Paris right now, like so many. I'm gonna start with The Lion King. I think you can buy a ticket for this where you get a reserved seat. This is about €13. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're in summer and you don't want to queue. In summer, I queued about 20 minutes before the show started. In winter, I think it was about 10. We got a seat. If you can as well, when you're in there, I'd say try and get it in the middle barriers. If not, I would go on the right as you look at the stage because more things happen on the right, but obviously up to you. I also like to sit further back because where they do all the gymnastics and stuff in the air, I think you get a really good view of that. There isn't really a bad seat though for this one, and you definitely don't need to waste your money on getting a ticket. But that show is incredible and it's a must see, and it's included in your ticket. If you don't pay for reserved seating, it's included, like don't miss out on it. But yeah, that's a great one. And again, with all these sort of shows that are indoor shows, I would recommend seeing them from about 12 till 3 because that's the busiest time in the parks where the rides are going to have the longest wait times, and you can go and do the shows instead and then do the rides in the evening and morning. That's how I tend to structure my day. But yeah, that's one of the shows, and that's in the Disneyland park. It's in Frontierland. It's as you come in, you see Big Thunder, you go right and follow it all the right way up, and the queue is usually there. And also don't be put off by the long queue because it seats loads of people. And the next thing would be in the Disneyland park as well is the parade, the Stars on Parade. I love that show. It's my dream to be in it, and it's so good. But do not watch it on Main Street. You're going to be waiting for so long for the parade to come up. You won't have a good view because everyone wants to watch it there. I've watched it in front of the castle before, and I got there about half hour before in winter, and we had a front row view. But my favourite place to watch it is if you're looking at the castle, go right as if you're going to Discoveryland, and then go past it towards It's a Small World, and there's like 2 pink turrets. Stand in front of them. It's never busy. I've rocked up 5 minutes before in winter, 10 minutes before in summer, and you've got a front row seat. Also, a lot of the cast members watch it there and watch their friends in the show, which means it's clearly a good spot. And one thing I would say as well about being there is you can, as soon as the parade's gone past you, you can dart off and go on all the rides. Everyone else is still watching that parade, but because you're at the start, you can easily dart off into Discoveryland, get on Hyperspace and Buzz before it gets busy. Because after the parade, all the rides get super busy. So, and another thing I would say about watching the parade is don't just stand there like, oh, obviously like you can. If you want to get interactions, wave at them, be like, hi Timon, hi Rafiki, or like blow kisses at them, wave at them, make them want to talk to you. Because if you do that, they're gonna like wave back at you. I've had so many, I'll play some of the interactions I've had so many interactions, one with Alice and the Mad Hatter. I've had over the years, the Prince like wink at me, and like Timon be like call me, and like random stuff like that, and that's what makes it. And like make that eye contact with them. See, the characters are on the parades high up, they can't see everyone, so like if you're waving at them and interacting, they're more likely to interact with you and things like that. And also, I know it's hard, but don't just watch it through your camera. Like this is one thing I always say, I always hold my camera here if I'm filming, and then I like look for myself because that's what I like to do, and I think that's what gets you good interactions as well. Then another one in Disneyland Park is Disney Delight and the Illuminations. Disney Delight is for the 30th anniversary, so we'll be ending on the 30th of September, but Illuminations are on. But I think it is changing to Dreams for the next few months, but I think Illuminations will be back after that. I love these. The fireworks can get super packed. Again, don't watch it on Main Street. You're not going to be able to see a thing. In winter we got there like 10 minutes before and we'd get really good spaces, but in summer you've got to do that half hour, 40-minute wait before if you want to get a good view. The best view is in front of the castle because the fireworks look incredible, but also just off to the side is still okay. And I would recommend trying to get like where a fence is, because a lot of parents put kids on their shoulders and you think you might have a great view, and then the show will start and like you'll have a wall of children in front of you. So, and people can get quite pushy and shovey with these sort of things because everyone wants that best view, so just be warned about that. But I have been so lucky and I've had front row before and it was spectacular. I think I waited like an hour before in winter, and if you can do that, like it was incredible. It felt like it was a fireworks show for me and my friend, and it was amazing. But yeah, definitely try and get nearer if you can. I have watched it at the back of Main Street. Personally, it's not for me. If you want to dart off quickly after the fireworks, perfect. But if not, it's just not really for me. Then we have the 30th parade that's on at the moment, that's called Dream and Shine Brighter and is in the main park. This show is spectacular. That song will be in your head. You'll know the whole dance by the end of your trip. This I love because if you're just walking in and it's on, you can just grab a spot on Main Street, and it's really nice to just quickly watch a bit of it and then go on with the rest of your day. If you're planning on watching it, watch in the hub, which is the main bit outside the castle, and there is 4 stages. If you go in the centre and stand in front of those stages, you'll have a lovely view of that stage, and you can look around at the others, but you'll mainly be focused on that stage, but the characters do all move around. Another good spot is the stairs next to the stages, because all the characters will walk past, and that's really lovely because you get a lot of interactions with that. Another big tip is there's green lines on the floor. If you stand on the green line, that means you're at the front. So I've watched it with the castle, so standing there and then the castle's in front of me on the green line. All the characters come right up to you, get hugs, high fives. It's so magical, and also the castle's in the background. And there's dancers all around the edges as well. So you can also watch it around the edges. I've never done that, but that's also, I think that's if you rock up a bit later, you can always do that. Another good one is facing Main Street on the Green Line again. The dancers stop there at the start and all the dancers do a dance there, and it's beautiful and so good. But then also on the sides, so the castle would be like here, Main Street is here. If you go on the sides, there's also green lines and the characters walk from like the main parade route up to the stages there, and that's also really magical, and there's always dancers there too, and you have more of an overview of all the stages. So it depends what you want. If you're there for more than one day, I would recommend watching it more than once from different locations. But yeah, that's my top tips for this, and this is on about 4 or 5 times a day, so check the app on the days you're going because it does change on times on weekends and weekdays and things. Then the show, there's so many shows. I could go on about shows for so long because they're one of my favourite parts. Then in the Studios park, you have the Disney Junior Dream Factory show. It's not just for kids. It's quite kid orientated. Again, you can pay for this, but don't. I've literally never walked in more than 2 minutes before it starts. I've always got a really good seat. There's bubbles that like pop and like gas, like and smoke comes out of it. There's confetti. It's so good that you've got Mickey, Minnie. You've got some of the Disney Junior characters in it. You also have Timon. It's such a feel-good show, and it's so underrated, so definitely make sure you see that. Then you also have Stitch Live, which is really good, and that one's really interactive for kids too, but again really fun as an adult. They do that in different languages, and make sure to go to the one that is your language because it is very heavily spoken. And then you also have Mickey and the Magician, which has come back, and I love that show. However, that does have an away. If you're going to pay for one, pay for that one. But it is really, really good. The dancing in that is beautiful. The acting, there is a lot of French and English in that one. But yeah, that's a really good show too, and it's like a massive stage. But I also think there is some new shows coming in summer, and obviously I can't speak on those, but I'm sure they'll be amazing. And then the last show is the Frozen show in the Art of Animation Centre in the Studios Park. I've never done this. You have to wait, like, they're 45 minutes apart, so the shows, and when one show goes in, you need to get there for the next 45-minute show, and I just don't want to wait 45 minutes for a Frozen show, if I'm being honest. Lots of kids love that one though, so definitely still a really good show. And that's all the shows that are on in DisneyLand Paris at the moment. And then characters. So most of the characters will finish around 2 p.m. Some finish a bit later, like 3 or 4 p.m, but most of them finish around 2 p.m. Some of the ones with the longest line are Stitch, Winnie the Pooh, and Mary Poppins, Mickey and the Princesses. Mickey and the Princesses have their own pavilion, so you have to go in. Mickey, you know you're meeting Mickey, and it has Disney shorts in the queue, so it's really good for kids and adults, but because you're entertained in the queue line. Princess Pavilion is a long way, and you don't know what princess you're going to meet. A cast member once did tell me you can request a princess, but when I did that I didn't get the princess I asked for, so I don't know if that's very hit and miss. And it is a long way. I waited 50 minutes in winter, so that's like off peak. And Mickey I've met in about 20 to 40 minutes before, so it depends what you're after. But also I would keep in mind with these, if you do not have the photo pass, it's quite hard to get your own photos, so keep that in mind if it's worth meeting them in that way, just because if you don't have that photo pass, they take professional photos and then you won't get those, so that is something to consider. However, also I would recommend getting the photo pass. It's £60 as a total for your trip for all members of your party, and you get professional photos of a lot of the characters and magic shots and all your ride photos, and that is something I would really recommend. But yeah, I would say you definitely do the Mickey and the Princess Pavilion if you can, but also if you are on not as much of a budget, if you do, there's a princess character dining experience, which is really good because you get food and you meet, I think it's 6 or 7 characters. I have done it before a few years ago, like a good 3-4 years ago, and it was a really good experience, but it is pricey. It's about €70 per person when I did it. It might be more expensive now. The character breakfasts are about €30, and that's in the morning, and you meet, I think it's six characters again, and you can often get Mickey in that, and you get Tigger, or often like the Winnie the Pooh gang, that sort of thing. I've also had like Scrooge McDuck, Smee and stuff like that, and I've had Daisy before as well, so that's definitely a good one, and that's that little bit cheaper. And also on those buffets, if you take like croissants with you, you can then have that for the rest of your trip. So I would do that at the start of your holiday. But yeah, that's like the main sort of characters. Most characters that you see roaming around the park will have about 15-20 minute waits, some being half an hour. Just be warned with character meet and greets. The lines may look short, but you've got to remember those characters take breaks every 15 to 20 minutes. So if you're in the awkward part of the line, you might have to wait a bit longer. And also they spend a lot of time with you. It's not just a hi, bye sort of situation. So the lines may look shorter, but they're definitely going to be at least 20 minutes. Also on the Disneyland Paris app, you'll see most of the characters that are available in the wait times, but there will be pop-up characters. So I'm going to try and list some of the places they are. So there's usually some around by It's a Small World. There's always loads in Fantasyland by the Teacups is a good one. Back by Casey Jr. is also another one. By Princess Pavilion is usually another one. Meet by Mickey Mouse is often another one. And by the Carousel there's often characters, and sometimes by the Sword and the Stone too. Then when you go to Adventureland, it's usually in front of the pirate ship. There's usually one, there's like a meet and greet bit by the like Jasmine and Aladdin section. Sometimes there's one by the Jasmine and Aladdin passageway. Blue is often around that bit too, and then on the passageway to Frontierland there's often characters there too. So they're kind of quite scattered around, but that's the general vicinity. Then in Frontierland there's usually one round by the Fast Pass section of Big Thunder, sometimes by Cowboy Cookout, and sometimes by Phantom Manor. So that's kind of the main areas there. And then in Discoveryland there's usually characters around by Philamagique, and that's kind of it really. But yeah, that's like the main places. And then by the castle there's usually one outside to the castle on the right and one on the left, and then there's usually ones at the top of Main Street outside the arcades, and sometimes by the pavilion in the centre on the entrance part. And then in Studios Park there's sometimes meet and greets in one of the theatres as you go in on the left. Sully is sometimes there on the right in his photo spot. Then there's the ones in Toontown, and sometimes Remy's by Ratatouille, and then you've got all the ones in the Avengers campus now. As you go in there's usually Ant-Man and Wasp on your left, sometimes Groot, and then as you go up to where the Quinjet is, a lot of the characters come out there like Thor, Loki, Captain America, things like that. Iron Man's usually up there, and Black Widow and Spider-Man sometimes come out as well. So yeah, that's kind of a rundown of where your characters might be. Also a really great tip for meeting Marvel characters is on the app you can do a online queue for Marvel characters. You can meet Iron Man and Spider-Man or a randomized character. You go on, you book your slot, you go there when it tells you to, and it's so good and so fast. The only thing is with the randomized ones, you're not guaranteed to meet the character you want, and you could meet the same one more than twice. But obviously that's the risk you take. It's really good because you can be in the other park and do it all and then just go to that one. But make sure you've linked your tickets on the app, otherwise you will not be applicable to do that wait. Another thing as well, I haven't really explored this, but characters can appear in hotels. I think it's usually in the mornings and in the evenings. It's usually a sign in the hotel, but I know in Newport Bay you get them in their sailor outfit. Sequoia Lodge you get them in like a foresty outfit. You get like Jessie and Woody in Cheyenne. In the Marvel one you have to book it on the app. Again, you book that in advance, but I've met Thor and I've met Spider-Man there, and there's also other photo opportunities. So yeah, definitely don't miss out on those as well, because that's really good. I think that's everything for characters. Then for rides, the fast passes are no longer free, which is a real shame. However, you can get around without doing them. As I said earlier, do all the rides in Magic Hours that you are the big ones that I've said before, but also like some rides you only want to do once, some you want to do more than once. And again, focus on the rides in the morning and the evening. There are certain rides that don't get as busy. If you look on the Magipark app like the week before you go, it gives you a rough idea of when things are quieter. Make the most of single riders if you can, you're not with like small children. Get the big rides done in the morning, do the smaller rides throughout the day and the big rides in the evening. And yeah, that's kind of everything for rides. For food, if you have got tickets and you're a hotel, Disneyland hotel guest, you can book your restaurants in advance. So this means you can book them 3 months in advance, get on that app 3 months in advance, they go so fast. If you are staying in a hotel, for example, when we stayed in the new Hotel New York Art of Marvel Hotel, we could book all the Marvel restaurants 6 months in advance. That's how we got our booking for Pim's Kitchen and the downtown restaurant, because they go like that, they're like gold dust. So yeah, make sure you make the most of that. I think if you're not in a Disneyland hotel and you have a Disney ticket, I think it's a month in advance, but don't quote me to that. If anyone knows for sure, I'll put it in the comments below. For sit-down restaurants, I'd recommend Chef Remy, that's so good. Any of the Marvel ones, Downtown, Manhattan, and Pim's Kitchen are all really good. I'd also recommend Pirates, and I've heard such an amazing thing about Waltz, and I really want to try Waltz. But yeah, there's some really lovely restaurants, and definitely get them booked up. Some quick services that I love, Cowboy Cookout's really good. We absolutely love Cafe Hyperion and Casey's, they're one of our favourites. Another quick service is Pizzeria del Knots. which is really good. That does the Mickey pizzas. There's tons and tons of good ones. And then for snacks, all the cars and studios are really good. Oh, also another quick service that's good is Start Kitchen in the Avengers campus. That's really good as well. And there's just snacks everywhere and anywhere. The bakeries on Main Street are really good as well. Another good one is Victoria's for little cakes and pastries. Tons and tons and tons of great restaurants, and definitely have a look at what you'd want to try beforehand when you go. And then just some overall things to end this video is Disneyland Paris has such detail, and it's known as the most beautiful Disneyland park. Don't forget to look up. When you look up, there's so much, even in the shops, there's things everywhere. Like, there was one that has like a library of all the characters when you look up. There's one that has like an animatronic. When you're out on Main Street, look up, there's like coffee cups that have steam coming out of them. So many things like that, and it's so cool to see. Don't forget to do that, and like take your time. Like, go in the castle and look at all of that. Like, you can visit the dragon, you can go upstairs and see the story of Princess Aurora. There's so much to see that isn't a ride. Like, there's the Passage of Aladdin. Nautilus isn't open at the moment, but that's there too. Don't forget to do things like the labyrinth, the Robinson's treehouse, the pirate caves, the train that goes around the whole park, the Mesa boat. Like, all those things are so underrated. The cars on Main Street, like everything like that. Like, make sure you do those things, because it's nice when you've been there like, oh, I'm so tired. You can go and get the train and go around the whole park, and there's little things you wouldn't see unless you're on the train. And it gives you that half-hour like rest for your feet, and then you've come off and you're like, oh, that was so cute. And like, just don't forget to do things like that. Also, make use of the arcades. So when you come into the park, there's 2 arcades on there. I think one's called Liberty Arcade and the other one I can't remember the name of. When it's busy on peak times, you can go straight down those and you're straight into the park. And also at the end, if you go to the right or the left, there's sometimes shortcuts into the different lands. So there's like a shortcut to Frontierland that takes you to Phantom Manor instead of to Big Thunder. So make the most of those sort of things too. And like things like Philharmagique as well is really, really good too. And that never really has a long wait. And yeah. Also, like, there's things like the Sword in the Stone with like good photo opportunities. At the moment, there's the Gardens of Wonder for the 30th anniversary. Like, there's just so much going on. Don't rush around too much. I'm really guilty of this. I'm like, oh, what's next? Oh, what's next? I need to take the time to look and read and look at all the details that they've put into that park. Like, when you're queuing for things, like, look around and just really make the most of being there. But yeah, anyway, I've probably still missed about 30,000 things. That is great about Disneyland Paris and all my tips. But that's kind of the ones I can think of straight away. So I hope this has helped you when you're planning your trip, and if you have any other questions, please drop them down below, and I'd love to hear any of your top tips, your favourite things to do, all of that sort of thing. And yeah, hopefully this has helped you plan your next Disneyland Paris trip, and don't forget to check out the vlogs if you want to see it in real time, because I have 3 vlog series now on the channel for Disneyland Paris. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.